welcome back to my channel. And today I have here Coach Dominicars. I've seen him a couple of times in the gym, and I saw what he has been doing, which it's kind of like motivated me to want to speak, to want to know more about him. And I actually reached out to him, to be part of this conversation. We finally have him here, and he will be talking about himself, talking about his experience, the people he has trained, athleticism in general. But let's open the floor for him and let him introduce himself. So, yeah, can we get to know you better?
Me better. I'm a physical preparation coach. My passion where I specialize the most is football. So mostly I work with football players.
Okay.
Also, I teach in university as a lecturer, and also here I'm in this gym individual coach, and I return to sports specialist. So, for example, when a football player gets injured, comes to me, I help him to move back on the pitch.
So it's good what you're currently doing out there for footballers that are trying to get better. So tell me about your background. What got you into coaching athletes specifically?
So I played sports when I was young, obviously, but then throughout the years, at some point I made not the best decisions. And I always was the guy that was interested about the sports, not only doing sports, but about the sports. And through the years, because I had an opportunity to coach a little bit, from time to time, because our coaches did this practice where they said, I go to another athlete and you manage this one. So, give some advice. So, and through that, I think this started because that was my first experience in, providing value to someone else. So in coaching point of view. So after that, I don't know if this is the exact moment, but through that evolved the fact that I think in 7th, 8th grade, I already knew that I'm gonna be a coach. I was not sure what kind of coach, but definitely gonna be a coach. So, and I went through the school, then went to university, started being a coach, switched actually from being a football coach specifically to being a physical preparation. And when I moved to physical preparation, then I saw, this is for sure my path, So then I moved very aggressively forward.
Oh, that's really nice story to hear. But right now, at the moment, do you only train footballers, or do you train any other set of, athletes?
Yeah, a few. I don't specialize, in very specific sports. So I like to keep it football because I know that's my expertise the most. Basketball. Also quite a similar physical capabilities, of course. Different type, but again, you need to be explosive, maybe not so much long distance endurance and so on, not maximal speeds, but shorter distances. But again, you are preparing the athlete fully, making him explosive, resilient, Also, in cases, conditioning for a specific event, But I go through a couple of sports, so. For now, mainly it's football, and on the side there are a few basketball players also that wants to get this, physical preparation extra and move higher in the leagues.
Yeah, and you know what I observed? So I observed that Lithuania as a country, it's more of a basketball country, and now they are trying to open up to football, and I think it's a very big thing here in Lithuania at the moment. So, but what's your take? What's your overview with the rising of football in Lithuania? Like, what's your perspective about it?
Perspective is good. Also, the results are climbing, getting better. The exposure of football, it's increasing a lot, as you can view yourself. So, in terms of putting football out there, next to basketball. So I think it really works. Based on statistics, actually, the last couple of years, the amount of kids that started to play football is much more than basketball. But again, football, you need more players, so maybe also this affects. But what I'm seeing now from the perspective of football, I'm loving it because years back, we were very, very.
Yes, yes.
We reached basically the bottom. We are trying to bounce back.
Yeah.
It's difficult because we stay there for some period of time, but. All the moves that are made now by Lithuanian Football Federation and the clubs also, so the level is increasing and competitiveness is increasing, and all the management of football is getting better. So I think we are climbing straight forward, not very fast, but we are climbing forward,
So what is the most misunderstood thing about what you do? What do people think coaching athletes looks like versus what it actually looks like?
Yeah. When I was in the university, I was not a coach yet, but I was in a scientific experiment, and I was supposed to test the regular people. So we are doing some research on the tendon. They were doing leg extensions and so on.
Yeah.
So basically, one time the guy came and he was interested, like what I'm studying. He knew that I'm from the university, but he was like, what exactly are you doing?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm physical preparation coach, strength and conditioning, it's like similar words. And he paused for a second and he was like, oh, so you are exercise coach. You are giving exercise. Yeah, and I was like, what? And I'm grinding at nights, early mornings. I'm reading books. I'm studying a lot of science. I'm exploring those exercises, which gives the best angles and so on, which frees you up the best, which gives you the most boost athletically. Many things, and the guy just said, "You're just giving exercise to the people." I was like, "What?" But sometimes people see like that. It's the same like in the big corporations. Sometimes people see CEO and say, "No, he just comes and says, hey, this is not good. Make it better," and leaves. And they think that's the whole job. So it's pretty similar in the way, from the perspective point of view.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's. Through the years that what I understood. Yeah. So one thing is exercises, another thing is programming. So what is obvious, but another thing is the human side. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest, the game changers in coaching overall. How you perceive the person, how you are being with them. Yes. And what value you are creating. Because the connection in any type of activity is when you have any situation with the person, whatever you do, the connection is number one thing, and you have to connect with the person, you have to be on the same page, you have to support them, so all these kind of things. And it's no matter what you have, the guy that wants to improve their physicality, the guy that is returning from injury, but in this case is even more because they struggle also mentally a bit sometimes because again, you are losing part of your identity, you've been a football player for the whole your life and now 9 months you cannot play. So this is a difficult part and it takes a long time. Even more, I would say, is in football overall. When you are in a team, the connection and the belief and support to the players, no matter what, because you understand that it's going to be ups and downs, it's going to be difficult periods and so on, so that human side is what actually sometimes we don't see, but it's one of the most important things.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most, I believe it's one of the most important things, the interaction, the value you're creating and how you also receive it from the people you're trying to, give the value to, you're trying to train, you're trying to coach. Yeah, I think, it's one of the most important things, just like you mentioned. How much of athletic performance is mental versus physical?
One influences another, I would say.
Okay.
This is also an interesting thing because, in general, you cannot separate the body from the mind. That's one thing, if you feel mentally stuck, and you are very anxious and so on, you're going to feel it on your body. Yes. And if your body is not in a good state, you feel pain.
Absolutely.
So you are weak, so mentally also it affects you. So for the athletes, it's the same. Of course, they have much higher physical capacity. Yeah. But again, the requirements also much higher.
Body will always be the body.
Huh?
I said the body would always be the body.
Of course. Yeah. So and in this situation for them, sometimes you can see the player that he's super athlete, but mentally he's not prepared, or mentally he's not willing to go to the contact. He's not willing to sacrifice the body, and then the body is just the tool if you are not unlocking it with your mind.
That's
so
true.
it stays the tool,
Yeah, and that got me thinking. Yeah, because if the mind is not willing, and you're like, okay, the body is willing, it's not going to work. It's never going to work. So because it's more like you want to drive a car without having a fuel.
In a way.
So that's never gonna happen. And, what does mental breakdown look like in an athlete, and how do you recognize it before it is too late?
Yeah, so if we are speaking about the professional environment of sports, so what we are using usually is things like morning questionnaires. So for example, we have this habit all the time. We are sending morning questions, like a form to the players. They select their name and they put to each of 5 sections how they feel. So it's like your fatigue, your sleep, your mood, your emotions, your body, so these kind of things. And through that, you get information. If the players are honest, you get a lot of information. And if they are truly honest, previously I was thinking, that the most important thing was, sleep and how your body feels and so on, those kind of things. They are important. That's the base. But on top of that, now I look much more to the emotional side. So how they feel, because sometimes they said, I'm irritable, I'm everyone, whatever someone says, I'm getting angry, I don't want to see the people, I don't want to speak with people. That gives you the understanding that the player is not in the best mental state. Maybe it's the factor of the fatigue. Maybe there is something outside the football. So you need to take care of that, because determines the performance, and it influences it a lot. So we are looking at those kind of things. But overall, this is just one factor. You can lie, you can hide, because even the people with depression, so you cannot even see that sometimes, and they hide it very well. So for us also, it's the football field. We see that interaction with the players, with the coaches, the ability with the ball, how you feel on the pitch. Is there any differences, from your standard? So these kind of things. Overall, there is a saying that the best coaches can see all these kind of things with the eye. There is coach's eye, and it's a true thing. When I started coaching, I didn't understood. I try to develop it somehow. I was like, how they see, what kind of eye is that? But through the time you understand. But it's only through connection, because you need to know the player. So, for example, in my experience also, I remember some of the players. I know them perfectly well, how they react to things. They like jokes, they don't like, they tell me jokes, or they don't. I can go into the deep conversation with them, or it's just, on the surface, exactly. So, and when you see the very big deviation from that, so you can understand that something is happening in their life. And there were few moments where there were very serious things, but the players didn't told us. And one player exactly, I spoke with them. He was like cold as ice, and he was always smiling before. And I was like, something is wrong here. I spoke with them. He said, there are some things outside of football. Then I spoke with the head coach. Head coach went to him, spoke with him, and said, okay, take 3 days off, disconnect completely, because it was personal, but very difficult situation for him. So basically, these kind of things, when you can recognize them, and beforehand, before, for example, injury happens, or you go even more down mentally, so it's very important. But as I said, first of all, you have to have a connection established with the player, no matter, even if the person in the gym, the client comes, and most of the gym coaches, because they have this close connection one-to-one, I think they are very, very good on that also. The guy or the girl just steps inside the gym, they can say, hey, this is not your day, I see. So yeah, those things you must see as a coach, because coach is more than, as I mentioned previously, exercises only.
This just got me thinking right now about what you said. The emotional part is also one of the big things, and not just, yeah, you need to train, you need to sleep, you need to train, you need to sleep, because mostly that's what social media always pushes out there. That everything is just train, sleep,
Yeah.
and everybody ignores the emotional part, which I believe it's a vital thing. And that's even what got me into about talking about something like this, because it's very depressing and it's very sad at the rates which men are also killing themselves,
Yeah.
depressed, suicide, and they don't have a louder voice. So let's say, for instance, the coach you mentioned that went to spoke to the guy. If you haven't speak to the guy, and you're just pushing him to come on, get up, let's train.
Yeah.
He's not going to perform at his
Exactly.
highest level. So
And this is what you mentioned. I've been on that side also,
Yeah.
because me myself, as I'm physical preparation coach, I'm not the main decision maker in the team.
Yeah.
So there is a head coach.
yeah,
And I had head coaches that are very strict, very forward, very decisive in the things, and not willing to lower the bar.
Yeah.
And whatever it takes, you need to do. You need to push, you need to grind, you need to sacrifice. No matter how you feel, you still need to do it.
yeah,
I've been on that side with professional athletes, grown-ups. For some of them, it works.
Yeah.
But also I had experience with youth athletes and a lot. So for them, it's most of the time it's gonna break them. And even I saw the situations when they were pushed. We were in the match, in the tournament actually. There were many games going forward. It was the third game of that day. And it was late evening, and one of the guys, he was pushed. Before the match, he started to cry.
Wow.
Just emotional exhaustion, and he was full of everything.
Wow.
And then he was 15, 16, a young guy. And then we played a match. He was supposed to sprint to one side, then transition, go back again, transition again for us, going there, losing the ball, going back, and then he was running and just flopped on the ground.
Wow.
Started to cry. And he didn't move. And this was like the limit. I was like, what the hell is happening? And it was my first year as a football coach, inside.
Yeah. So
I was like, what are those things? And then you understand, but it's also important to have, your own value.
Yeah.
You understand, okay, this is the decision. Okay, it crossed the line for that player. He couldn't handle it anymore, as a staff. Obviously, we ignored it.
Yeah.
But then in the future, you understand that you're not gonna make the same mistakes, again. So it's important. It's important also to see when the players are on the limit, and sometimes it's time to stop,
Yeah. Wow. That's an interesting story. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Have you ever had an athlete who was physically big but mentally falling apart, and how did you handle that?
So these are the classic situations where mentally you are not prepared enough, but mostly it happens in the games. So in the games I saw that. In the training sessions, everything is fine, but in the games I saw these kind of things. But mostly when you are pushed out of your safe zone,
Yes.
So for example, there was also one game I remember with the guy that is truly exceptional physically.
Yes.
Super fast. No one can catch him. Amazing speed, very powerful first step, going first to the ball, contact, amazing, So physicality, very good, and also plays on the side, winger, wing back, whatever it takes, goes full length of the pitch. And I remember the match that he got tackled. And those are little football things.
Yeah, sure.
Not very nice things, but sometimes there are situations where the players themselves want to do that. Sometimes even there are the instructions from the coaches, go hard on him, go hard on him. So when I saw that guy in the match, first minute, disconnected from the game.
Wow.
Big tackle, received the ball on the side from the back, straight to the ankles.
Yeah.
A lot of pain. Then never again going one against one.
Wow.
Getting the ball, put it back. Getting the ball, put it. With the physicality, he could have drive the guy easily.
Yeah, sure.
But
sure.
mentally,
Due
he
to
did
experience.
he did the damage, and he was like, okay, I'm not gonna injure myself in this match.
Yeah.
And the opponent, this is exactly what he wanted. You know, he reached his goal. So most of the time it happens like
Yeah.
that, because overall, you can see, of course, the happen situations in everywhere that you are very physically strong, but mentally maybe no. But most of the time, the fact that you are building your body, it gives you that confidence. You know, it gives you that capability and resilience. It builds those kind of things. And this is one of the things that I like in my coaching. You know, you're pushing the player a bit
Yeah.
more that he
Yeah.
can believe.
Yeah.
And most of the time with the reps to failure and those kind of things, because he thinks I'm done,
Yes.
I'm out. But then you understand that he have 5, 6, 7 reps more, and he does that, and then he looks at himself, say, I'm capable, I can
Yeah,
do
I
that.
can do that.
And
Yeah.
it builds the mental side also. But as I said, in situation, it happens that you can break that confidence very easily sometimes. So, but again, it depends on the person itself.
Yeah, it depends on the person. But I also feel, you know, it's also your job to push them to their limits. So moving on, you train people's body for a living, but how much of what you're really doing is training your mind? Yeah, I love that question. Do you understand?
Yeah, so it's I believe it's pretty similar for what I said previously, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so for the mind, big part, very big part. The physical preparation with the mind training, it plays like a very big role. And actually, already, not a few, many years back, there are some training methodologies
Yeah.
that you are training physically, but at the same time you are training mentally.
Yes.
So, for example, imagine now we are on this cardio machine,
Yeah.
and at the same time we are doing some mental focus exercises. So we need to make decisions and so on. So, like it's interconnected. So, for
Yeah.
example, you go on the field, you are tired. It requires a lot of endurance, you know.
Yeah.
You are in fatigue,
Yeah.
but you still need to make the best decisions.
Yeah.
So this is what it trains, you know. So from one part, what is technical, tactical point of view, you know.
Yeah.
So you are very tired, but you're still doing the best with your mind.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
on the other side, of course, what I mentioned previously, when you are doing endurance work, you do strength work, you know, pushing to the limit, you know. Even when you do easy balance and stability work, how much you can focus, you know, how much you can concentrate on that specific movement, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not only about the performance, you know, being very active, very aggressive, powerful, you know, and full of the emotions. Sometimes it's to calm it down and control it, you know.
Movement is often prescribed now for anxiety and depression. From your experience on the ground with athletes, do you believe that?
Movement,
Yes.
100%. Even scientifically, you know,
Yeah.
as me being part in the university and being kind of evidence-based person,
Yeah.
you know, I love the science. So what I do is based on science.
Yes.
So now the research clearly shows, you know, if you take the pills and you exchange that with the movement and activity,
Yeah.
it works for your anxiety for sure. Now even for depression and these kind of things,
yeah.
it helps to deal with that, you know, because previously we were looking at the body and the muscle just like a tissue. Now we see that as an endocrine system, because it provides also not also, you know, big muscles and good visual appearance, but also more hormones, you know, that also help to fix some of the things in not only your body but also your mind. So the body and the mind fully connected, you know.
For instance, you have a trainee that is going through depression, going through anxiety. Would you prescribe working in the nature for them, or will you ask them to come to the gym to come and work out? Like, how will you go about all these things?
Even from my own experience, I can tell that And overall, I believe in the more of a energetic part. So for what you can use the gym in this case, and for what you can use the nature. So gym is a bit different energy, you know.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah.
It's not so easy, relaxing, connecting with the nature.
Yeah.
That is easier energy, you know.
Yes.
And in the gym, you come, you grind.
Grind, yeah, that's
So-
true. That's true.
If you are angry and you can't control that anger, you know, if the emotion is rising all the time, you know, and it's very powerful, so you need to do the powerful things. You need to go to the heavy bag, maybe
Yes.
punch it. You take heavy weights, you push it, you pull it, you know, you press it. So this, you release that energy, you know. If that is your tool of coping, you know.
Yeah.
Another way, if the emotion is more depressing, I would say, and even for myself, if
Yeah.
there is an anxiety, if you feel stuck, overload, I go to nature.
Oh,
I go
nature.
nature.
Yeah.
The birds are chirping, you know.
Yeah.
You're going around in the forest, around the trees. You know, there is a complete silence,
Yeah.
quiet. Maybe there is a lake or there is a river. It relaxes you. It's like meditation part. You need to calm down
Yeah.
and clear the mind, you know. Whereas before, you need to let that energy out. You cannot keep it to yourself because you're gonna explode.
Yeah,
So
sure,
it's better
sure,
to explode the weights, you know, in this case.
Sure, I was just while talking about exploding, all these kind of like emotions and everything. As an African, right? There's a way I think I've seen it and I've heard it with a couple of people around here as well. Like they want to scream, but you cannot do it. Like you want to shout at your lung, like, okay, I'm hungry and I'm pissed, but I want to shout, but you cannot do it. Maybe due to the environment or due to, okay, if I do this, I'm going to look weird. I'm going to look like,
Yeah.
okay.
Mental a bit, yeah. True. Yeah, those are social norms, you know, but sometimes, but again, it's interesting because, for example, if, I don't know, you, even in this gym, if you are coming on the platform
Yeah.
and you do snatch, you know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
hit your PR and you shout, everyone is okay with that. But if you jump on the box, probably,
Yeah.
so then it's more calmer, you know, not so much noise, and you will start shouting. Everyone will be like, and even if they didn't saw that action, you know,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you drop the weights, everyone knows, you know,
Yeah.
you drop the weights,
Yeah,
so you
just work
probably
it out, yeah.
you did it, you know, and for you, you are just standing on the box and you are shouting, and everyone will be like, "Are you mental?" But it's just how we humans perceive the things.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think you should limit yourself too much. You know, if you feel that,
absolutely.
express yourself for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what happens to an athlete mentally when they can't train due to injury?
Alright,
So now, what does that tell us about the relationship between movement and mental health?
yeah, so here, one of the things is for sure you are on the limit to lose your identity, you know,
Yeah.
because for the athlete, movement is number one thing. You know, you need to move in some way or some form. You know, let's say it's football, basketball, whatever. You want to shoot, you want to play.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
even if you cannot, you have your routines. You know that you do before the trainings. You know, on the days off and so on. So, and all that basically collapses. If it's a difficult injury, it collapses. So this is probably one of the most dangerous things
Yeah.
when you start to lose that. And also when you return back to sports, it's also a difficult part when you are in that transition period, when you are not fully back as you were before, you know.
Yeah.
You feel with your mind, you understand that you are capable of those kind of things,
Absolutely.
but your body doesn't produce. So, and this situation is also for athletes is one of the most difficult throughout the period of the injury recovery, you know.
Yeah.
So in that also, that's where you see the athletes, and even if it would be a regular person, they need a lot of support, care, you know, inspiring belief that everything will be fine. You just need to keep doing what you do. So also interesting situation, you know, throughout the recovery process.
Okay. So thank you for that. So, moving on to the next question. I love this, I love this question actually. So you train, I believe you train professionals like, people that are trying to become better, that are trying to improve in every way possible. So, what principle do you use? Do they apply to a regular person, like a busy professional, someone who hasn't worked out in years, like the way you train all these athletes? So let's say, for instance, someone like me, no, don't let me use me. For instance.
Not the best example. You are too good.
So let's say someone who is just a random guy, a professional, let's say in the professional field, like managers, CEOs who has never trained before. Do you think you would recommend the way you train athletes to them, or what would you say to them, just to keep them, to want to go out there and do something for themselves?
So one of the things, mostly, no matter it's physical preparation for me or it's return from the injuries, and all the return to sports process, one of the things I keep saying to the players, and you can apply that to anyone, it's building evidence.
Building evidence.
You build the evidence for whatever you do,
Yeah.
So if you, in the life, of course, you want those attributes, like you want to be confident, you want to put yourself out there. For that, you need to have evidence, You can't just randomly choose and start doing the things, but then you start doubting yourself. Why? Because you don't have the evidence.
Absolutely.
The same with the body, the same, as I said, with the physical preparation, with the recovery process after injury. So you're building evidence, you can do more. When you can do more, okay, then you are progressing. Maybe then you deal with some failures, setbacks, but then you push through them. You're building the evidence that you can overcome the things. And then gradually you understand that you start to feel more self-confident, you start to respect yourself more, you are in completely different mental state then, So it's interesting how actually those kind of perspectives works, but not all the time they are obvious. So sometimes you need to allow the player or the person to go on that track and understand, to have that understanding and vision, forward. So I think it helps also when someone from the side tells you how it works,
So let's say I'm starting out. I've never even watched a YouTube video on how things have been done. I've never seen people work out in the gym before. Like, I don't even have an idea of how to do, to make everything better, to move, to go into the nature, to come to the gym and lift it. What would you say to that kind of person? What would you tell that kind of person if you had to have a conversation with that kind of person?
First of all, it depends if he decided himself to begin. If he wants to start but he don't know how and he has no tools whatsoever in this situation. So then go step by step, make a first step. It's always make a first step, you know.
First step.
Next action, as we say in sports. So you did a mistake, you failed. Next action, you concentrate on the next one. So in here, the principle is the same, step by step. So you come to the gym, what you can do? You can jump on this one. You can walk, you can do this one. Okay, you can cycle this cardio machine. Maybe you can go on the rower, maybe on the treadmill, maybe faster pace. Maybe you can do incline. Maybe then, exercises. Maybe you're not comfortable going to the gym itself and start doing weights or machines. Take the step or go at your house. Take the first step of the floor. Step up. That's it, you know. Press your hands to the wall. Press it, you know. So, and this builds you evidence. You are capable. You can move forward, you know.
Absolutely.
But again, it's always a decision. If you decide to do that, you can do it for sure. You know, you just need to keep consistent, you know. So again, one of the principles of mine is, again, normalize the failure. Failure is normal. So you need to go through that. If you are then consistency, if you are consistent, you're gonna go through it. And then at the end of the day, you're gonna get results, you're gonna win, you know. So if you are not afraid of failures and you are being consistent, you're gonna reach the result anyway.
Wow, that's well been said, because you know, when you spoke about building evidence, that's why I brought up this other question, because, you know, I am like a random guy that's never done anything, but just like you said, you know, step by step, doing it from your house until, you know, you have some sort of evidence. Then, you know, you go to a bigger place like this and you build a bigger evidence. So that works perfect. So you've heard it. So moving on to the next question. What is the biggest lesson sports has taught you about life, especially about pressure and resilience?
Pressure and
Resilience.
resilience.
Yeah.
Yeah, so without pressure, there's not gonna be any resilience. So it's a normal part of the process. So
Yeah.
again, as I mentioned before, you need to normalize the things that are maybe taboo, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, the pressure is not so good, you know. Oh, you feel anxious, it's not very good. No, but it's the part of the process, you know. You fail, I failed, you know, I'm a loser or something like that. People are putting those kind of things into their mind. No, but it's just a part of the process. You don't lose in life, you know. You lose in specific one situation that is like a pea in the whole universe, you know. Very little, a little rock, you know. So move it, throw it away, continue on your path, you know. It's the next step again, you know. So again, pressure. There is even in sports some athletes like or coaches say pressure is privilege, you know.
It's a privilege.
It's a privilege because in one way or another, if you are in that situation and you overcome it, you're gonna get better every time.
What is the biggest lesson sport has taught you about life?
That probably that there is never a straight line. It's ups and downs, ups and downs. Like in sports, for example, in football, where at this moment I focus the most, you know. So, and what was a couple of years back, basically my whole life, maybe 80-90% of my life consisted only of being in, sorry, academy in football, you know.
Yeah.
So in there, you understand that you are in the process, that you're not gonna win every weekend.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna lose.
Absolutely.
You come to the training, some of your drills and some of your trainings, it's not gonna be 10, it's gonna be 4.
Yeah.
For some reason or another. And then you come back and you are like, what, I failed as a coach? No, I need to get better at this.
Get better.
You revise, you reflect what you did, what didn't go as planned, and you get better. So again, you're moving up and down, and for me, that's the beauty of life, you know. When you accept that thing, that
Yes.
not everything is gonna be easy, and you need to struggle, then when you remember years back,
Yeah.
is the best feeling to remember how you overcome the things and where you are now, you know. So it's also important to understand that you are creating the joy in the future. In the moment and in the future. In the moment you struggle, you push through,
Yeah.
you are very happy about yourself. But then if you stack that up through the years, after many years,
Evidence.
yeah, again, even more evidence to respect yourself, to enjoy yourself, and you know, understand that in this life you develop yourself in the best way possible, and you did the job, you know.
Yeah, thank you for that. You know, yes, saying all this, I was just trying to connect everything with what you've said. So, you know, stacking failures over time. It's also more like building evidence that, okay, I was able to fail at this, but I was able to overcome it. Like, I keep pulling myself back up. Each time I fail, I keep, you know, like, yeah, I can be better, I can be better, I can be better, which is a very good one. Yeah, it's a good takeaway for me from here. So moving on.
So of course, just to mention, there is another part that we spoke. Don't push you through the limit, you know.
Yes.
So sometimes, you know, oh, I fail and I go again. I go again. You know, sometimes those failures will bring you down to the point that you always fail, and you know, you're questioning yourself, when I'm gonna win. So sometimes you need to do the break. Like say, okay, move away from that thing a bit, restart again, you know. So also this is important mentally as we speak.
Yeah.
There are things that you can cook yourself, you know, in the mind if you
That's
go.
True. That's true. You said it very well. Sometimes it's just take a break from it and then go again. I have been in this state in my life where I need to, you know, I just needed a break from everything, from social media. I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. I need a break. And then, you know, I go back and I was like, okay, yeah, now I'm much better to be able to handle this. So yeah, so it's absolutely relatable. And thank you for sharing that. So the last thing here, what do you want people to take away from your work beyond medals and results?
Memories. For sure,
Memories.
for sure. And this is the best thing what I have because I've been in football, in the club football. I left for 2 years.
Okay.
I had some time to, again, move myself away from that. And now I'm with national teams.
Oh, okay.
I started even with the more drive and desire, to do this thing.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, okay, it was 5 years of doing that daily, nonstop, or almost every day, thinking about that. And I was like, okay, medals, trophies, or something like that. Even when I was an athlete, all those kind of things, And everyone, most of the time, as I see in sports, says the same, Those are living on the shelf, know.
Yeah.
And then you remember all the memories exactly with the people around you.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. It even gives me goosebumps now when I remember some time with specific players, with the coaches, what we experienced, what we had. It's amazing. And this is when you understand that you were not only working, you were living the life. It gives you a lot of memories and joy. Yeah, exactly.
Everything. Oh, that's beautiful. That's lovely. And the last question which I have for you. So, if you could tell anyone to use fitness as a mental health to deal with, their mental health, whatever their mental health state is at the moment, what would you, what would you tell that kind of person? What advice would you give the person?
I would say move. Don't keep yourself in one place. Move. And I apply this principle to myself also. Whenever I feel stuck in my mind, I need to move. But I cannot move with my mind only. Okay, I can distract myself, but the body is here. Everything what is created in the mind goes through the body. So they need to move together. So whenever I'm anxious, and even I told that to my relatives and my most close people. So one time I was in this situation, a lot of anxiety, a lot of disappointment. And I understood that I cannot stay in one place.
Yes.
I just stood up and I said, I'm leaving everything. I'm just walking now. Wow. I go to the city. I was in a different country at that moment. There was a match. We lost and so on. And I moved to the city. I don't know where I'm going, but I was walking. I found the places. I enjoyed the time. I was disconnected. I was with myself, with my emotions. Then I was moving throughout that city. I released all that tension out. And then I called my relatives and I said, whenever you see me, that I'm now explaining to you how I felt, tell me to move. And that happened last week.
Oh,
I was in the mind, I was exploding. My wife came back, sit in the car, take the dog, go to the forest. Come back, sleep very well.
Okay. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's a lovely story. And yes, we've come to the end of this, and I really appreciate you sharing your story, and hope to see you again and talk more about how men could be a better better father, better husband, better leader in everything they are doing. So hope to see you in the next conversation.
Of course.
So,
Until the next time.
Yeah, thank you, man.